Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a couple of more mad science and bizarre stories dealing with things and phenomena that most people would find uncomfortable. The first article we'll be reading through is, Are we living in a simulation? There is only one way to check it. Let's get into this article and hear exactly how maybe we could find out if we're living in a giant computer simulation. So let's get into the article now. The philosopher and mathematician of Oxford University, Nick Bostrom, is considered to be the father of the modern reality simulation hypothesis. In his 2003 study, Bostrom stated that our reality is a computer simulation created by a highly developed civilization. Columbia University astronomer David Kipping, studying this concept, paid special attention to these aspects better known as the Bostrom's dilemma, each of which is capable of being an independent scenario of reality. Usually, civilizations self-destruct before they have the opportunity to create simulations of reality. Advanced civilizations are not interested in creating simulations of reality. We are almost certainly living inside a computer simulation. Bostrom explained that at least one of the three statements must be true. This is quite logical. Kipping combined the first two assumptions because they lead to the same result. We do not live inside a simulation. Thus, the probability that we live in a computer simulation was 50%. Very interesting, folks. Is it possible that through these simple questions and logical thinking that we could determine that we do and live in a giant computer simulation? Let's read on and find out. Perhaps that's true. I'm not leaning towards any of the statements, but I'm trying to systematize the data I'm working with, Kipping explained. Even a child could guess about the probability of 50%, but why is it so important in this case? The more different realities are built into the simulation, the more powerful the computer must be, responsible for the performance of such a matryoshka. However, the further the simulation characters go down the rabbit hole, the less power they need to create their own simulations. Now, if you're wondering why the word matryoshka was used, it's to describe that each reality creates its own reality, much like basically if you look at matryoshka dolls, Russian nesting dolls, how each doll has a smaller doll inside of it, much like each reality would create a smaller reality inside of it. Suppose in order to create the most reliable reality, we use the principle of quantum superpositions. The picture of reality will exist only at the moment when it has an observer, which will significantly save computational resources. If this approach proves effective and the generated simulation looks very reliable, then we, by observing the simulation from the outside, can try to find failures in our own matrix. What they're trying to say here, folks, is the same computer flaws and failures that we would find in a computer simulation we make of the universe could be found in actual reality, and that could tell us if our reality was real or not. It is indeed an interesting theory and might prove to be true one day, folks. But either way, let's read on, and maybe we can determine for ourselves that maybe this is true or not, at least to ourselves. In addition, there is a possibility that the characters from the simulation we created at some point in time will also think about the unreality of what is happening and try to start creating their own simulations. At this point, the rabbit hole will become deeper, and our conclusions about the unreality of what is happening will receive convincing evidence. Today, it is impossible to prove or disprove such statements. If we create our own simulation before civilizational collapse occurs, then most likely we are living in a simulation that someone else has created. Considering the speed with which virtual reality technologies burst into our lives, we are already within walking distance from the generation of parallel realities. As Elon Musk said, the chance that we are not living in a computer simulation is 1 in billions. So, is it possible that we are living in a virtual reality, folks? That this is all a computer simulation? We have to ask, was this made by ourselves, perhaps, in some alternate real world? Or are we all part of some giant computer simulation created by alien beings, or even, guess what, people? Some people have said that if we are indeed living in a computer simulation, then the creator of the simulation was God himself. So think about that for a moment, folks. Remember, what they're talking about here is basically creation myth, what these scientists are saying. It's basically the same thing as basically, religion. Very interesting, if true, folks. Either way, what do you believe? Do you think it's real? Perhaps. Either way, folks, let's continue with the next article now. Now, our next article is once again mankind's old fascination with living forever. At least this guy, though, he wants to basically live to be 150. So, let's get into this article. The 2 million anti-aging routine, one man's quest to live to 150. As I said, folks, this is the same old song and dance with people wanting to live longer. So let's continue with this article now. Brian Johnson, a biohacker determined to extend his life as much as possible, has shared what he calls the most effective anti-aging method he's tried so far. The 47-year-old entrepreneur, who spends about $2 million a year on longevity treatments, once made headlines for receiving blood plasma from his teenage son in an effort to slow aging. Now he's turning to a different approach, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, HBOT, or HIBOT, I guess. or HBOT, folks. In a recent YouTube video, Johnson showed off his high-pressure oxygen chamber, explaining how it works. This saturates my body with 100% oxygen under high pressure, he said. So, very interesting so far, folks, but is there any merit to it? I'm not so sure. Maybe there is. Let's read on and find out. It accelerates healing, rebuilds the microbiome, is good for brain health, and increases my vascularization across my entire body. The treatment, which he uses for 90 minutes at a time, has delivered surprising results. After 90 days of this therapy, it has proven to be the most efficacious therapy I've done since starting this project, Johnson said. But is this all true, or is this just wistful thinking that this man Johnson thinks he's actually achieving anything here, folks, that he's going to live forever just by doing this? Okay, maybe not forever, just to 150, which he thinks he can do. Is it possible, folks? I have my doubts, but, well, it could be possible. But hopefully not, folks, because I'm not so sure I like this guy, because, well, he seems a bit off to me. At least he gives me that vibe. But let's continue. It lengthened my telomeres, reduced sentient cells, eliminated systematic inflammation from my body, reduced a marker for Alzheimer's, rebuilt my microbiome, and gave me dramatically improved skin health. HN shared another extreme part of his anti-aging routine, daily shockwave therapy. The biohacker, who aims to live beyond 150, describes the treatment as intense and admits it's painful, but insists it's crucial for maintaining joint health. Johnson starts the 5-minute session about 2 hours after waking up, targeting his knees and elbows to keep them functional as he ages. Joints are a major issue for people as they age, he says. In fact, they limit our ability to do the things we love. I'm doing this with this therapy, the first whole-body proactive therapy. He undergoes the treatment 3 times a week, enduring 4,500 shock pulses per session. Though he acknowledges the discomfort, he believes it's necessary. It's first in the world, and it has done wonders for my joints, Johnson claims. And even though it hurts like hell, that's what you want. Seek out the pain. Despite his intense focus on longevity, Johnson insists he's not spending all day on anti-aging routines. Many people assume that I relax and spend all my day in longevity. That is only part of my responsibilities, he said. I also run 3 businesses as well as being a full-time content creator. In another video, my $16 a day diet to live to 200 plus, Johnson claimed his biological aging rate has slowed to 0.64, meaning he ages just 7.6 months for every full calendar year. Very strange and out there theory this man has, folks, but does he have any real, benefits from this, or is it just all in his mind? As I said, folks, to me, he's just saying this is what he thinks is happening. But has he proved it? Has he had scientists test him to see if this is what's happening? I have my doubts. Either way, folks, let's continue and finish off this article, and then we can talk about this story a bit more, and maybe the first one as well. Comparing his approach to software updates, he said, when you build software, you build version 1, and it moves to a version 2 and version 3. Every version gets a little better because you remove the bad stuff and add more good stuff. I've done the same thing with my diet. While Johnson is convinced of the therapy's benefits, his experimental nature raises questions. Since he's the one of the first to try it at this scale, the long-term effects remain uncertain, including whether the pain actually strengthens his joints or just tests his endurance. Indeed, folks, that's what I'm thinking as well. Is he actually getting benefits, or is he just testing his endurance with how much pain he can basically put himself through? Because maybe that's the reality we're seeing here. Either way, folks, very interesting so far. Do you think that Brian Johnson will live to basically be 150 and maybe over? I don't know. It's possible. But either way, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.